Hey, so I'm here with Lisa from Unexplained Arkansas. Lisa, how are you?
I am great today, Ty. Thank you.
Good. I like the enthusiastic
I'm
hand movements. And
I talk with my hands, so it's like...
Yeah. You didn't the whole time we did the episode earlier.
I didn't?
No.
Oh,
Nope.
my goodness.
Yeah.
That's not like me.
No, not like you.
Yeah, I'm very expressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm half Italian, so...
That comes with it.
That
Part of the territory.
The hand gestures.
You inherited your hand gestures.
I did.
Nice.
Yes.
Genetically passed on.
And my love of a sweet spaghetti sauce.
Sweet spaghetti sauce.
Sweet. I like my marinara like sweet.
Okay.
Like,
Interesting.
yeah.
I guess we should probably tell people that you have you have a podcast.
Yeah.
In case they don't know you. We're going to talk about spaghetti now.
Yes.
No. So Lisa is the host of the Unexplained Arkansas. You also founded it.
Yes.
Along with your co-host, who is no longer a co-host.
Me and my best friend Amber. We created and founded Unexplained Arkansas in. We actually went live with it in December, I guess, of 23.
Mm-hmm.
So that's weird to say, but yeah.
Yeah.
So we were a year old this past December.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And she's just too busy to do it. So I get it. So now it's just me. Yeah. I cry a little. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I get to see her all the time. So,
but you're taking on new episodes and you're still producing the show and consistently putting out new episodes, which is great.
I do. I release every Monday. And then my goal is to, like this week, I'm actually releasing because it was a part, like a two-parter.
Yeah.
I'm releasing part 2 tomorrow, Thursday. Wow. So I'm really trying to get to the point where I'll put out 6 episodes a month at least.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
And
That's
if you guys
goal.
listen to or watch this podcast, then you probably saw them on the live Halloween show that we did on stage last year.
So fun. We were what were we? Facts of Life girls. We were Joe and Blair. Yes. I was Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In case you need to match a face. Then,
yes. I loved it. It was fun. That was so much fun. We really enjoyed it. So
yeah, for sure. And I really enjoyed your live show as well.
Yes.
Going to that, and we were just talking about that with someone else before we started rolling on the camera, but I am full in. If you give me an immersive experience, I love it. But if you add in supernatural stuff and like mystery and history, so fun. Yeah. And so we were in Searcy, Arkansas, which I don't normally go to. Yeah. So it felt like going to a foreign land. And we were in this old theater that had and I was looking up the history of the theater before the show even started and looking at like how it started as just like one room and then it expanded and then like contracted again and then somebody else rebuilt it. And but you can look around it and you can see like the old curtains and everything that's holding in the corner and like the molding in the of the top of the ceiling, whatever you call that.
Yes, I don't know what you call that.
Like it was really, really beautiful and like it had
original.
That nice feel and to where like if I walk up the aisle, it's gonna creak. You know, it was one of those types of theaters,
and it probably did.
But to have you guys up there, telling this history of that courthouse, the White County Courthouse, and you going into some of the more ghostly aspects of all that. And it was the perfect setting for that. And you guys had a great turnout, which you have a great following
we were
and
thrilled.
very adamant people that follow you are kind of crazy about your show. So
yes, we have the best listeners and they've become friends. Like I have pod friends. I have pod besties, I call them. But anyway, so it was awesome. We we had to do it late at night, so our show started at 9 p.m.
Right.
It was a Saturday night, but that's late for people. And we did that because they still show movies there at the Rialto, and so we had to wait until the 6 o'clock whatever movie ended. So we're like, great. But anyway, it was awesome. I love our downtown Searcy is like really historic and has a lot of fun tales. So as old buildings do.
Yeah.
Love an old building.
It seemed like your audience actually knew a lot about it too, because you would ask a question and somebody would immediately stand up and have an answer for you that was like not just a vague answer. It was like they knew the year when this thing happened. Yeah,
they're like 1917. Yeah, and we're like, yep, there you go. Yes,
yeah, that was
They knew their history
for sure.
Because I do like the historical side. Always like history. But I like to quiz people. It's fun. Yeah. My sister-in-law was like, do not call on me. She's like, I do not know. I'm like, okay. She's been on one episode with me and I kind of quizzed her a little bit and she didn't like it anyway. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good turnout and a fun night. Immediately, people were asking if we do the live show again. And I was like, oh my goodness. I need a beat. Like, I'm so tired, but it was fun. So, and I do have some shows coming up where it's not like I produced this show, like I did all the legwork, but I do have some events where I just show up and I am the host, or I'm the thing, but I don't have to produce it. Like, I have some of those coming up, so I'm excited.
Oh, nice.
So,
We're going to get to speak? Is
yes.
What you're saying? Like,
okay. They're having me. So I can announce it. I'll put it out on, haven't even put it out on all my social medias yet, but it's going to be in May in Fort Smith, Arkansas. But it's the U.S. Marshals Museum.
Oh, wow.
And they have like true crime events. And so I'm going to be their event in May. So, and I'm going to cover like, I covered the Christmas Killer episodes, which was just horrendous case that I covered out of Dover, Arkansas. And so it was the Richard Gene Simmons,
my gosh. I grew up knowing that story. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
It was horrible.
Yes.
So they're having me cover those episodes.
Okay.
So live. So
wow.
I'm excited about that. So
where I grew up was actually, or like the house I lived in, I guess the most besides, in Texas, was in a place called Jerusalem, Arkansas.
Oh.
And so it's not too far. And then like our original house in Arkansas was in Appleton, which is even closer to Dover.
Oh,
anyway, so you have to go through Hector and then you go to Dover.
Yes.
And there's lots of weird stuff happening there. There's the Dover Lights.
Yes.
There's
a lot.
Richard Gene Simmons thing with the burying his family and the graves and stuff. And
I mean, he killed he killed a total of 14 people in like a week.
Yeah.
And it was the week of Christmas.
Yeah.
And most were his family, but yeah. So so Dover has a lot of energy.
Yes.
Maybe not great.
A lot of something coming out of there.
Yeah, a lot of something.
Right.
And it's very, I have not been to Dover specifically. I've been to Russellville. I guess it's like 11 miles from Russellville. Is that right? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, it was a very interesting case. And I actually covered, there was a book written about it. So I covered the book and the case file. So it was interesting.
Very cool.
But yeah, I did like those episodes are 4.5 hours. And so for this event, I'm going to condense it to an hour and a half. So that'll be the only tough thing.
Did you see when our friends Cody and Elaine from Cryptids Across the Atlas they investigated the whole Dover Lights?
Yes. Yes. They're awesome. We just collaborated on the Gow route. And so, yes, they said that they were working on like a whole thing for the Dover Lights. And I was like, that is super cool.
They went out. It was really great. I watched it. They filmed the whole thing and like they tested different theories. Like one would be standing up top with a flashlight. One would be at the bottom of the mountain. And they were like just trying to see what they could see. Yeah, it was incredible.
Oh, I love it. I have tried, like me and Amber last year, we did an episode on the Garden Lights.
Yeah.
There's several lights around Arkansas, mysterious lights, but we kind of saw something. I can't say for sure what we saw, but we definitely had an adventure in Gurdon. So
I don't even know where I've heard of that, but I don't know where Gurdon is.
Okay, so it's kind of southwest Arkansas, like almost maybe like we went through Arkadelphia.
All right.
Okay, so because I know on the way back we stopped at a very sketchy situation.
Sketchy can apply to a lot of different things.
But it was 1 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
I don't know if it was sketchy because of that, but it was like, okay, let's lock our doors because we had our kids with us too. Both of us brought our teenagers. But anyway, so it's a little past Arkadelphia, if that helps. Okay. But Gurdon's like a small town. I mean, it was like a small, tiny town.
I mean, I didn't hear Gurdon and think, well, that must be a big place.
You're like,
that's where everybody wants to go. Yeah, right. Exactly right.
But it was very, it was fun. We went really late on a summer night. Did we run into some people that weirded us out? Yes. We were on train tracks. I mean, it was a lot.
Nice.
So
very cool.
I don't know. These lights seem to happen on train tracks.
Yeah. And and like there's a lot of, I don't know. Is it the history of having a train coming down the tracks and you're seeing the light on the front of it? Yeah. But lots of people report, and I know maybe not the same one, but like there's different orbs that are, reported around, orb lights, whatever, around the country. And that happen on train tracks, but like no train attached. They happen out in the middle of nowhere where trains haven't been in a long time.
Yes.
And so it's kind of
that
odd.
is fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but there's also the Bono lights, and they're similar to the Gurdon. Bono. It's like right outside of Jonesboro.
Okay.
And I always heard about. I went to school at A-State there, and so anyway, like I remember people talking about it when I was at school there, and then it's like a thing, like you see, but it's also train tracks.
Yeah.
And then there's a bridge situation. Bridges and train tracks. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So. And lights, but all fascinating, all unexplained. Love it. Love all of
That's
it.
Interesting. So we just did an episode.
We did.
Just while your logo is still
fun.
on the TV.
Yeah, we did.
We just did an episode. We collaborated and we talked about the Ozark witches, and that was fun.
It was very fun. We you gave a lot of good history on like the whole witchiness.
Okay, good.
Remember,
I'm glad I did it justice. I'm so afraid. You do what I'm afraid to do, which is have a podcast about something historical. Or like you can verifiably, go back and fact check. You know what I mean? Because I'm like. In 1835, my fear is like at that, like your live event, you know what I mean? Like you had an audience that knew exactly when everything happens, right? And so, but you were on point, so you were prepared. I was so afraid of having the wrong date or attributing something to the wrong person, and then somebody was like, "No, you're wrong. That's not how it happened at all." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm an idiot.
Oh, man.
I didn't research this enough."
Sometimes that is tough. Like we've been in those situations, but I am a history lover.
Yeah.
And I deep dive sometimes a little too much, but I love ancestry and then diving into like old newspaper articles. But, sometimes on some stories, there's just not a lot of information, which we were talking about today about the Ozark witches. I mean, it's just, it's folklore. Right. It's just passed down.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of fact there, so that's tough. But people will call you out though if they like. My big thing for people is that they tell me when I say something wrong. Yeah. And that cracks me up because one time I did say epitome instead of epitome. Yes. Yeah. I was just like reading because I do a script and I was just reading and I was like epitome and I'm like, oh.
I like the way that word sounds though. You know what I mean? I like that pronunciation of it way more than epitome.
It does. It sounds good. And when you're looking at it visually, it looks like epitome. So anywho, that was fun. But yeah, people will definitely, like your listeners will call me out. But sometimes I'll even be like, if I don't know something or if I have a question about something, like I really like to be like, phone me, send me an email if you know this. Because so many people love to help you out, and they love to like look into something. So some listeners do. And then others just want to make fun of you for saying epitome, which is okay.
We're about to put out a 5-episode limited podcast series that is based on history. And it's based on Wiley Jones, who was like one of the wealthy Black people of the time whenever the slaves were freed. And so he lived in Pine Bluff and there was a lot of things. Anyways, but I like doing the research for this show has taken a year for me to get down exactly. Because like you said, there's not a whole lot that is available. In like you're having to get a newspapers.com, subscription to be able to go through and look up what these things happen or go to a library and look up the microfilms and
been there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because there's not a whole lot of this information, but especially like Black stories back then where like they're if you like he was born in the 1850s.
Oh, wow.
But his mother, like she didn't even have a last name besides the slave owners, the last name. Yeah. And so because of that, they also weren't treated as people. So there were no birth records. And so I couldn't just simply go on ancestry.com, try to backtrack and see where all his brothers and sisters ended up or anything like that. Because they didn't even track a birth record, whatsoever. They were traded with the furniture.
That's crazy.
And it's absolutely
it is crazy
insane
to think about.
Yeah,
that whole thing. But
it's incredibly strange.
Yeah,
but like the deep dive, like it's there's a frustration to it, but then
Mhm.
there's like such a, I don't know, a rewarding factor in your brain whenever you find a really good piece of information about it and you can piece it together and be like, oh, so that's what he was doing during this time.
Yeah.
And then it led to the World's Fair, of 1893. And
Oh,
that's what we're talking
cool.
about. And so
Yeah.
it
That
feels
sounds
like, I don't know if you ever read Game of Thrones or any of those types of books.
I watched the series some.
Well, it's kind of like that. So like I get really into that type of stuff where if there's a backstory and lore and you can connect all these different characters and there's like, it feels like a real history, but like this is the first time I've found that in reality. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, I could just keep going and all of this stuff is real. But like you said, you go in too deep dive on a subject and you can end up in a completely different world or place or studying, that is too much of the wrong thing, I guess.
Yes. Sometimes I'll find something and it'll take me down, I'll call it a rabbit hole. And I'm like, I cannot do this, Lisa. You've got to focus. Like, I just researched I did the American Airlines crash. It's flight 1420. And I was looking into the pilot. And then I saw that he was born in Amityville, New York. And then I'm like, Amityville. I was about to deep dive on something totally not related to this crash because I'm so in love with the Amityville horrors.
Yeah.
And he was almost exactly the same age as Ron DeFeo, who committed the murders. But then I realized this is not going to be the rabbit hole I want because the pilot actually was raised in the West Coast. So he was born in New York, but his family immediately moved to like California. So I'm like, he didn't know Ron. He didn't go to school. But in my head, I was like, oh my goodness, this pilot was born in Amityville and probably knew, no. So then I was like, okay, stop.
That's interesting though.
It is interesting.
Like there's a different,
like you'll find out these little tidbits and they'll send you down a totally different path. But, and sometimes I'm like, okay, this is a good path to be on. And then other times I'm like, I've got to rein this in. Otherwise, I'm going to research this 4 days.
Yeah.
And I've got to focus. So,
for sure.
Focusing is hard.
No, focusing can be hard, definitely. So, So, what made you want to start it as a podcast?
Oh, goodness. I know me and Amber both like wanted to do a podcast. And we both loved like things that were like I love true crime and she loved, like we both loved paranormal. She really got into like superstitions and like the folklore side of things. And I really dive deep on like the
history.
History, the true crime and the paranormal, because I enjoyed like a good case study too. So we just started, we were like, okay, well, let's actually do something, because we would throw out all these ideas and then finally we were like, let's do something. And so we sat down and we were like, okay, well, what if we focus on Arkansas and we call it Unexplained? That way we can cover anything that falls under being unexplained, true crime, paranormal, cryptid, whatever it is. And so that's how we started. And then we like wrote up about 30 different episode ideas, because that was the other thing. We're like, is there enough Unexplained in Arkansas? And we're like, yes. So, but now I am going to be transitioning into Unexplained America so that I can cover even more ground and just widen the listener base, just because I think that like Arkansas is truly amazing and interesting, but some people, if you don't live here, you're not from here, you may not even listen just because of the title, So anyway. So I'm still focusing on Arkansas, but just going to tweak and remodel my name a little bit. Okay. So, yeah.
Awesome. Kind of opens the door for more things too.
Yes. Yeah. And that way I can cover, I don't necessarily want to cover like all those obvious things that people cover in true crime or paranormal, but there's just a lot of interesting cases, of UFOs and paranormals and cryptids, like Mothman. I don't know. There's just it will open a lot of doors.
Definitely live in a strange world.
We do.
There's plenty to explore. And
I know. Yeah.
Like I said, some subject matter has just been tapped. How many Ted Bundy?
Exactly. Like
how many Ted Bundy things we need.
Like, will I cover Ted Bundy? No, it's been covered, and I love. It's so fascinating to me. I guess I wouldn't say he's my favorite serial killer, but I mean, and that sounds awful to even say because I think serial killers are awful, but anyway, and scary. But you know,
fascinating.
Yeah. Like, how does the people do it? But I did cover John Wayne Gacy,
okay,
because he had an Arkansas connection, and he's one of the most fascinating serial killers to me, as well. But what he did was horrendous. So anyway,
yeah, for sure.
It's been a journey. So, but yeah, Ted Bundy, overdone, you know, it's just,
yeah, for sure.
What more can you say? But
while I was studying, you know, the World's Fair portion of this podcast that we're putting out, you know what the 1893 World's Fair was also famous for? H.H. Holmes.
Yes. You know, I listened to a podcast called Morbid, and they covered H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
And I really didn't know a lot about it. It was fascinating.
Yeah. I've known about him for a long time. I was obsessed with like his like story, but not like his whole life story, because I was like, they tried to piece it together to try to make sense, and he was always kind of just crazy.
Was sketch.
Yeah, he was somebody you definitely didn't want to do business with.
Yes, he was always
but that hotel
that
he had he had built the third level of this building to be a hotel, but never had any recorded tenants. But all these people kept coming up missing. But he was such a bad like business person to get it, you know, to do any kind of deals with, because like even this vault company, he got a loan to get this vault to keep all his money and stuff in, or whatever, because he was having like assistants and people like staff of his apartment building to like get inside of the vault, and so he could close the door and have them scream just to see if it was soundproof or not. So who knows what the heck he even did with it. But anyways, those the vaults he put in like the center of the house, and then built walls around it. And then until the vault company came to repossess it, and he was like, okay, well, you can have it if you don't damage my walls, which was impossible to do. So they just eventually just let it go and left it. And like, he just had unresolved debt. But like, that was just like one of a handful of like a billion different things that he did to people. And so he had sort of a lore built around him as, you know, America's first serial killer. Yeah. Yeah.
And he was bad. He was really, I don't know. He was bad to women. I mean, he just was
for sure.
bad.
Yeah.
He was just a bad
Most
guy.
of them are.
He was one of those, like, not only a serial killer, but a serial, you know, marriager. Like, he kept, you know, it's like, I don't know. He was just a bad guy. He was what they would probably deem now a narcissist or whatever they classify. But yeah, he was fascinating.
Sociopath. There's a lot of things there.
All the above.
Yeah. Check all the boxes.
Yes.
This man needs help.
And it's so weird to think that people were that bad, you know, in like the late 1800s. And of course you had Jack the Ripper, which that is one of my most, I won't cover it for the podcast or anything, but now they've got new information out about Jack the Ripper.
What was the latest on that?
The latest that I saw, and I could be very wrong and they could have more stuff out now, but the latest I saw was that Catherine Eddowes, which she was one of the victims, her Shaw evidently went on auction and was purchased, and then they did DNA, you know.
Recent.
This is very recent, like within the last couple weeks.
Wow.
Or month. Yeah. So they did the DNA stuff, and they kind of, you know, they have suspects. And so they did some familial DNA with one of the people that they felt like was a good suspect, and evidently it matched.
Wow.
And I don't even remember this person's name of who it was, but like, he was just a well-known suspect. So now all these people, you know, this people are coming out and saying, okay, it's solved. But then other people that have written books that have come up with their own suspects are like, no, it's not solved. Like, they're not buying into the DNA. And I'm like, okay, because the Shaw is old. And so they're just not believing in this, what's going on.
I can't believe that, like, well, I don't know. That's so weird, because like, how can DNA even survive that long, for one? And then like, we definitely weren't recording, you know, biological markers at that time. So how do you match it to any?
It's like,
that's interesting.
It is interesting. So yeah, because they ended up using, I guess they used someone that was related to the suspect, you know, to try to get So
I've heard, we've gone through a lot of different versions of, I'm the one that cracked the Jack the Ripper case.
Yeah.
He was a eunuch. Oh no, he was another fellow prostitute. Oh no, he was
he was a prince.
Yeah,
I
exactly
like that
right.
One. That one was one of my favorites. But yeah, so it's just fascinating. Just all this serial killer. It is fascinating, even though it's awful,
Yeah.
all this stuff. So sometimes when I do a true crime case, I really have to palate cleanse with like something like cryptid.
Puppies and kittens.
Yeah, let's cover something else. But like paranormal's fun,
right?
And cryptid. So because otherwise, it's like it gets too much.
No, for sure.
You get it. But yeah, that's super fascinating about your case.
Yeah,
I'll listen to it when it comes out. So
okay, I don't talk a whole lot about him, but about Hutch Holmes or anything like that. But it's just interesting that all this stuff happened. Like Chicago World's Fair was. I want to eventually do, and we probably should have done that on the episode. But I love like checking into like what all was happening. Like I said, it was a city that was, in Chicago, and it was actually the World Columbian something like it was like supposed to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Christopher Columbus finding the Americas. Cool. And but anyways, it was the World's Fair to try to attract all these different people to come in. But like it was a lot of firsts for everything. Yeah. There was, so the reason I was studying it is because Jefferson County, which is in Arkansas, the state of Arkansas had raised money and used funds here to send an exhibition or exhibit to be put in place in Chicago. Oh, cool. So there was no plane or any of that stuff. They probably traveled by either train or wagons all the way to Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And they brought these huge logs of timber to go build an actual building to be part of the Chicago World's Fair. And it was the Arkansas building. And it was supposed to show everything. Even there was I think a 12,000 pound piece of zinc that they brought. And it was just to show the different minerals, and like what's available as far as the wood and the craftsmanship, but also the immigration services from around the state, which were trying to get people to come and invest in their cities. Like Jefferson County was one of them. And they mentioned this guy that I was talking about, Wiley Jones, and like everything that he had built there in Pine Bluff, they were trying to advertise. But this was also a place where, you okay?
Yeah, a little bit. Sorry.
It's also a place where, African Americans could technically be there, but they really weren't welcome because,
like in Chicago.
Well, Chicago is fine, I guess, but like being in the World's Fair, like if you could buy a ticket, you could attend, but like it's not the same as it was for everybody else because African Americans usually were being placed as exhibits in the fair. Okay. And so like this is where Aunt Jemima comes from.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Nancy Green was an actor, or like she like actually came out of slavery, and then she was the typical, mammy type of figure of what, white people were comfortable leaving their children with. And so they, the RT Mills, I think it was, company bought or licensed her to be the spokesperson of Aunt Jemima Pancakes. And so like they made a stand with her to make pancakes for people while she was playing this character of Aunt Jemima, but like that type of thing. And that Black people weren't allowed to speak on stage unless you were representing another country. And so that's why it's so crazy.
That is crazy to think about.
Frederick,
Douglass,
thank you. Yeah, Frederick Douglass actually went representing Haiti, even though he was an American. And so, and he, sort of, he had hecklers on his stage, and man, he turned it around back towards him. You have to listen to the podcast to hear about that.
That's awesome.
But like, that's also the first time that the world was being introduced to brownies. Juicy fruit gum.
Wow.
Yeah. Ferris wheel. And Nikola Tesla was there to introduce the world to this new thing called electricity.
That's amazing.
And H.H. Holmes, our first serial killer. That's so crazy. All this stuff was happening at the same location all at once.
And it's so normal to think in those realms. Like that happens a lot, but it's weird to hear about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like all these things coming together and like all these, I don't know, historical things.
Right.
That's crazy. So did he get to go? Well, I guess I'll have to listen.
No.
Oh, man.
Nope.
Okay.
No. So like I said, unless you were representing another country, you really couldn't be part of it, or unless you were going to be an exhibit, which kind of like hammered home the stereotypes that people had of black people. And so it's still during the Jim Crow era, and Jim Crow itself, was not a person. And so it's pretty much like Aunt Jemima it was just a character that somebody else played, and they attributed it to that anyway. So,
gotcha.
No, he didn't get to go, but he was being listed as a feature, and it's kind of sad that he was, building up this whole, industry and like, entertainment parks and saloons and all these different things that were making Pine Bluff a thriving city enough to where they were like, here, this is why you need to invest in our city.
Yeah.
But he himself wasn't even invited to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. It's a crazy time for America. And I think that World's Fair in particular is just fascinating.
And hopefully we have learned a lot. But anyway.
Oh my gosh, I hope we have learned a lot. We are we're making some regression here lately, which I do relate to in the podcast. But yeah, we're rolling back all these DEI initiatives and things where I'm like, oh my gosh, why all the civil rights movement, the progress that we made, we're making some regression. So hopefully we step forward again and
we will. I think so.
You have so much hope in humanity.
I really do.
Yeah.
I see. Well, and we talked about this. I do substitute teach a little on the side, and if you look at our children, yes, I do have. I have faith in them, hope in them, because they're just, unless you teach them these horrible things. And luckily I wasn't. I mean, I didn't grow up, with certain prejudice that I know, like I didn't, and like my family, I don't know. I didn't get that. So, but I feel like kids these days that they're just, they're thriving, and I don't know. I think they see each other, I don't know, differently and openly, and I don't know. So they give me hope. Children give me hope. So just like, what is that? Children are the world.
Yes, they are the future.
They really are. Yeah. So because they don't carry around just as much baggage as we do.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So they just
once you get to a certain age and you start collecting this weird, like before you know it, a few years down the road, you're like, oh, how did I get all this stuff on my back? You know what I mean? Like I've been lugging this around, and like you lose your, I don't know, your wonder at the world, and it's easy to do that.
Yes, it is.
Like if you're not conscious of just knocking that stuff off of you,
just gotta be glass half full and not empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always like, my husband, as he's gotten older, I'm like, you're so negative and you're patient.
You're getting grumpy.
I know. Maybe people do get a little, it's like, I've been here, I've been living, I'm grumpy, but I think we're all hangry, hungry and angry.
Okay.
We all need to eat and get some sleep.
Good food. Yeah.
Yes. But that's fascinating. I'll definitely look forward to I like the World Fair stuff. I don't know. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah, same. It always has been. Yeah. There was a lot of exhibits and everything that were like, there was a Viking boat that came from Sweden.
Oh, wow.
Like they took that longboat from Sweden, across the Atlantic Ocean to the Michigan or Lake Michigan, and then put it on display.
Brought it in.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Oh, that's cool. Like the things that, I don't know, like happened in the late 1800s or early 1900s before there's like, I feel like there was a lot less rules about stuff. So like, it was like, things were wild.
Oh, yeah.
Know. You know what I'm saying? When we did, we talked about our live show, we covered the White County Courthouse. And so like one of the things we covered was just like downtown Searcy. And one of the fun stories that I found, it was just like a side note, was that the coroner, like no one, people weren't embalmed. And so this was like the late 1800s. Yeah. And this kind of funeral director in town, he wanted to embalm someone. It was new technology, but nobody wanted to offer up their family for it. And so this woman died that she worked for the courthouse. That was the connection.
Oh, okay.
Like she was like the caretaker, cleaned and stuff. And everybody loved her, but she didn't have any family. And so everybody like gave this, funeral guy permission to embalm her. So she was like the first embalming in Cersei or whatever.
So the community all had to say it. He was like, I'm going to do this. Is everybody okay with this? They're like, yeah, we're good.
They're like, yeah, like, let's do this. Well, he embalms her and it works really well.
Yeah.
And he puts her up like in the storefront of his shop for 3 weeks. Like her dead embalmed body is just in the store window, you know, freaking out the kids, of course, in town. But everybody's just fascinated because, you know, we're in Arkansas. It's humid. You know, you got to get people in the ground. But with this new technology, so basically they paraded this woman around for like 4 weeks total.
Jeez, okay.
In store windows. But it's like the 1800s of it all, you know? Yeah. You don't do that now.
Yeah.
Unless you're Tony Alamo, and that's a different
display
story.
Model. You too can be embalmed.
Isn't that crazy?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. That was fascinating just to find some of these things that happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's hard for us to imagine like parading this woman around in storefronts for a few weeks for our fascination. So yeah, crazy times.
Yeah, for sure.
I like now.
Yeah.
Now times are
good.
Now
time. Oh yeah. Right.
We have internet.
Somebody in the future will look back 50 years at this time and they'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't go through that.
Oh, yeah. They'll be like,
those guys were primitive.
Yeah, that looks awful.
Yeah.
Them and their Netflix.
Yeah.
And their internet.
iPads. Yeah.
Actually, I think I saw some video and it showed like the progression of people, like how parents react. And then it was like by the year 2050, really, we wouldn't have anything. It would just be survival mode. So it's almost like it went forward and then backwards because of technology. Does that make sense? Anyway, it's like, that sounds right. So it almost looked like more Star Wars. Like, you know, when they're Anakin and his mom in the desert. Oh, dirt. Anyway.
Dirt.
It looked dirty.
You really hate dirt.
I do. There's a time and a place.
Yeah.
So anyway. But yeah. So I'm like, I wonder where we will be in 2050.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. So that's only like 25 years.
I know.
Oh, that's so weird. That's so weird to think about.
Hopefully we make it.
Yeah. I'll still be, in my 40s. I don't know about you, but I'll be young.
Still be in the 40s. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to age backwards.
That's new technology.
Benjamin Button style.
Oh, all right.
Very
That's
cool. What I'm going to do. Yeah.
Are you still going to be doing the podcast?
I hope so.
Yeah?
I do. Okay. I think, my plan for now is to just grow and see where it takes me. Yeah. So we'll see. As long as I can do it.
It's been pretty kind to you, I would say. And you guys are doing amazing things. I know we talked about it before in your show, but like the thing that kind of stood out to me was that, we do these regular searches for different podcasts that are being produced in the state and came across yours. You had the Facebook group and it was like a huge amount of members and people were very engaging. Yes. And we're like, it has the little notification up there where it says how many posts a day, your group gets or whatever. Oh, yeah. And like, it was like 5 or 6 or 8 or sometimes 12 or I can't remember what the number was, but I was like, anything more than one and it's not you posting, like that's so out of the norm. Right. Yeah. So like whenever you're trying to grow your podcast, especially a new one, getting people to engage with it is so hard. It's something like tooth and nail. You're trying to grab people and by the wrist and drag them out of their house. Hit like on this post.
Like, listen.
Yeah, just tap this little screen. But like you guys have done a great job of enticing and bringing out this whole community that people have sort of built around this. They were already interested. And like we were talking about the live show where you had people, there who were like so already so deep into it that they already knew a lot of the history and dates and stuff, but they wanted to hear your version of it. Please tell me live on stage what this is. And also I'm going to wait for my moment whenever you ask a question because I'm going to stand up. Yeah.
They are amazing.
But they love that because that really is like a community that you're building. You're giving back and forth. And like on your show, you asked a question directly to them to get answers so that you could, And so it's a communication or a conversation, I would say, between you and your audience.
Yeah. I feel like it. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking directly to them and, like, what do you guys think about this? So, and I do have a Patreon account and I do, I ask them, I do bonus content for them. And it's off the wall stuff and I let them choose, what I cover. But I'm like, you guys tell me, like, what do you want? What do you, I want to hear other people's rendition of it or if they've had their own experiences. So it's very conversational. So it's fun. I enjoy that part of it. I'm like, phone me in. Like I wish I had a hotline. Like phone me now.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's fun. So we've like made so many best friends with it, really. I mean, it's like people that have crossed over from the podcast friendships are on my personal Facebook and besties now. And of course they know, my life and my, I'm a mom, I'm a dance mom, I'm a cheer, they are connected to me like on more than just the pod level. So that's been fun. And
That's
then
awesome.
and then occasionally you get like a troll, person on your TikTok. Like Amber texted me this morning or last night. She goes, someone is being rude to you on TikTok. And I'm like, okay. And I'm laughing because she knows I don't care.
Right.
And it just cracks me up. So I guess he had said something about, I don't know. I posted something on TikTok and this person, I don't even know who it is. I think it was a he. And he just says, there's way too much breathing heavy and this and that. I mean, just, it was a stupid
just like
comment.
critiquing your audio?
Yes. Critiquing.
Okay.
Yeah. Critiquing, I guess, my delivery even of what I was saying. And I laughed because I love it.
I get those all the time.
Do you get that?
Oh, for sure. Whenever I do somebody's podcast and upload it, or even on this one, you know what I mean? Some people are like, I liked the content, but I would have watched the whole video if you had good lighting. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I don't know what to do for you, man.
Yeah.
This isn't my full-time thing where I'm trying to I'm just trying to capture the content as best I can. There's going to be some give and take here. There's compromises to be made. I'm trying to get better. So if you have a suggestion, and other people be like, here, if you just send me your raw files, I'll edit it the way that it needs to be edited. And I'm like, okay, great. Thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people just, you think that they're wanting to be helpful or maybe they're just wanting to be a part of it. But, you know, sometimes
there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
That's not rude and making, obviously if they're coming into like your messages or making comments or whatever like that for the public to see, where it's like they didn't privately DM you. You're like, hey, this is who I am and I've got experience and I would love to help you with this. You know what I mean? That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, you're doing it wrong because you're breathing too heavy in the microphone.
It's like, okay, well, that wasn't helpful, but no.
Thanks, guy, whoever you are.
I think I went back. I think I commented on it because she's like, you need to block him or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to let it ride. But I think I commented back to him and was like, thanks for being just an absolute joy today or something ridiculous. But I'm like, I love it because I love, do you ever listen to like mean tweets?
Oh, yeah.
I love mean tweets and I think it's hilarious. But so we get a lot of love, but like anyone, when you put your stuff out there, you know, because we are on YouTube and it seems like people get real rude on YouTube for some reason, or can, but
they can, definitely.
It's like,
but
I don't
really
mind
any
it.
social media platform, but a lot of the rude ones come from like YouTube and
because they hide their name.
TikTok has this sort of social economy to where like if you have somebody come on your comments, right? And then they put a negative comment, then like that creates an opportunity for you to make not only just a reply, like a comment with text, but also you can make a full video just responding to that comment. And like, there's some people that just do that with every bad comment. And I'm like, man, that's exhausting. And that makes me feel so bad because I don't even know what that person's going through anyway. And I'm just compounding to their problems just by doing that.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
I get it. And I won't say any more than this, but I've noticed like there are people that I know that have become what I call TikTok infamous by doing that. You know, it's like they're not famous. You didn't get there with good content. You got there by people, you know, like being abrasive and like, you know, basically fighting with people online.
No, for sure.
That's not my deal.
And just tearing them down.
Yeah.
In a one-way conversation because they don't have a rebuttal. They have no way of like defending themselves. And like you just call them whatever you want to or insinuate whatever.
And you can block all their
exactly, the replies.
To that. So I'm like, no, I don't, you know, I just think it's, hey, if those people want to say something about my breathing, whatever.
Cool.
I'm cool with that.
You don't have to listen.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I was a mortgage loan officer for many years. I don't get bothered by that.
Right.
There are worse things in life.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm like, but I don't have, what is that? I have thick skin, I guess,
Sure.
when it comes to that. And especially it's online,
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever.
Keyboard warriors. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like fine with that. Yeah, my husband calls it's like those people, they get on their little keyboards and, they act brave and tough and they say things that they would never say to someone in person. It's like, think about that, people, before you post, maybe. Would you say it in person? We know you wouldn't.
Right. Exactly right.
Yes. But anyway, but I love it. So people can comment. If you're listening, you can comment.
Nice things, please.
Yeah. Keep it, at least keep it clean.
Yeah.
I don't tolerate foul language.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's what I tell my students too when I'm subbing. I'm like, no foul language, guys. Like, keep it to yourself.
What do you teach?
So I'll substitute at the high school and they'll just, these kids.
Just throw you into different classes?
Everything. Yeah. I'll just kind of, babysit them for a little bit and help. I mean, I can help them with some things, but yeah, I've just got a few little rules and it's like no foul language and no disrespect. And no, I don't want to hear people's, the kids are real bad to play videos out loud. Like they're not even supposed to have their phone.
On their phone? Okay.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to have their phone.
I thought we had the new screen. What's it called?
I don't know what they're calling it.
There's some like rhyming scheme there.
They're trying to make campuses, I guess, phone free.
Yeah.
I just say good luck with that. Whatever. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I get it. I get the frustration from teachers. I do. But these kids will bring in burner phones. They'll bring in tablets. They're gonna go around.
I never even thought about that.
Yes.
Bringing in burner phones. I was just thinking of like, okay, worst case scenario. Let's say that there's the school's on shutdown because there's somebody armed in there or something, or there's an emergency, or maybe somebody missed the pickup line or whatever. Like, how's that kid going to contact anybody? So they kind of need the phone, but at the same time, yes, from the teacher's point of view, I'm sure that they're on it all the time.
Yes, it's a double-edged sword. So I have enjoyed that, I can text still and she can text me, that is a comfort. I think we're, in our society, like that's comfortable to be able to, because back in the day, I never phoned my mom in the 90s from school. Like, if you got a call from the school, it was like,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble. But anyway, I mean, it's nice to know, and like you said, for lockdowns. But I get it. But it's not going to, in my opinion, it's not going. I think it's just going to be a frustration for them trying to keep the phones out. It's going to be an even bigger source of just frustration and energy. That could be used elsewhere. Yeah. So, but I don't, in my class, like if I'm subbing, I'll be like, don't cuss. And I don't want to hear your phone. You're not even supposed to have it. I definitely don't want to hear your video. So if I hear your video, I'm taking your phone. Right. I think that's fair. Yeah. They have earbuds. Yeah. So that's another factor. I mean, they wear the earbuds, headphones. I mean, bless them. I mean, just let them. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're going to listen. I think people sometimes listen better when they're doing something else. Yeah. I hate to say that. I guess
it depends on the person, but I definitely get that because I'm super ADHD where I've got to be doing 5 different things at once or else I don't feel sane. Yeah. I mean, I'll look at people like in church when I'm sitting in church, sometimes I'll be doodling. I'm listening, but I'm doodling. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I don't know. I don't, anyway. I have a lot of opinions about it from being up there and then having a student. So I'm like, it's just, they literally some of the kids carry around 2 or 3 phones. So it's like, if one's taken, they're just going to pull out the other one. That's hilarious. I never even thought of that. Wow. So it's like, good luck. Yeah. All right. So yeah. Weird thought. So, yeah. Very interesting. I know. Well, so yay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for letting me collaborate with you on the episode. I'm excited about it coming out. It's going to come out Monday, whatever Monday's date. What is that? This will probably come out around the same time. Oh, cool. Yay. They can watch. So we'll use it as promo for the other episode. Oh, yes. Listen to this, listen to that. Yeah. But yeah, it's it was super fun. Love it. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to more events too. Yes, for sure. We're working on some crazy cool things coming up. Awesome. So yeah. I love crazy and cool. Okay.
And maybe Unexplained.
Unexplained. Yeah, for sure.
There
Absolutely.
you go. Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thanks.